Cool Pokemon here, back again with podcast episode number 29. Joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How we doing tonight, Dan?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited for this next episode.
Yeah. You want to take everyone through our plans for the channel? People might have noticed that last week we had an additional upload to our bi-weekly podcast.
Yeah, so now that we're on a new combined channel, we're going to try and do a little bit extra for this channel. So, if you guys watched the video last week when it wasn't a podcast week, we clipped a portion of the podcast from the week prior, podcast episode number 28, with Peter from Ludkins and Polaris grading or middlemanning. And basically a clip that we found interesting, something that was kind of deep within the podcast that not everyone might have seen. So, going forward, on weeks that we don't upload the bi-weekly podcast, we're going to be doing that. So taking just a clip from the normal podcast and uploading it on those off weeks. We do also have a few ideas for additional videos that might be coming in the at some point in the future. But for now, that's definitely going to happen on off weeks of the podcast. And then going forward, probably add a few more things into that as well.
Yeah. And for anyone who didn't notice, I think most people would have, we have a new background now. You can see our nice little logo there. We've migrated from Zoom for our recordings over to StreamYard. And that allows us to, when we get to the Q&A, we'll pop them up on the screen, as you see in this banner right here. And some other features that we can do. We got Nick's logo up there.
Greatest logo. Or
I can throw Charmander up there. We can throw the duck up there. We are now paying, so the duck isn't like a mandatory inclusion. I can get rid of him when I want to. But there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Maybe as we go on, we'll figure out something additional. But yeah, for now, hopefully a little bit more of a visually pleasing thing. And then one last thing before we get into the Q&A. Some people have already been finding it, but I did get us set up. We're set up now on Anchor, and Anchor is pushing our podcast to Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Let me know in the comments if you listen to podcasts somewhere else. There are like 8 other options, I think. Judging by what I looked into, it feels like Spotify, Google, and Apple will cover 90+% of people, if not even more than that. So if we're missing you still, let me know, and I can try to get that one added as well. But those are the big 3 that we're on. So anyone looking for an audio only experience, we're there.
And we can mail you a cassette if you like to.
Yeah. Yeah. Get on all the formats. With that, I think we're good to go to hop right into the Q&A, right?
Let's do it. Oh, one thing we did want to mention about the Q&A, now that we're showing the actual questions within the stream. StreamYard has a character limit as to how many characters you can have within this little banner here. So if you guys want to ask a question, feel free to ask your questions, but try and keep it a little bit concise, so that way we can show the entire question in this little banner.
Yeah, it's 200 characters. So if you write us a novel, I'm gonna have to go like all PSA on you and really abbreviate the crap out of your question, and it might get lost in translation through my paraphrasing. So just keep that in mind when you ask it. It's not a huge deal, but it is a thing.
So our first question of the night comes from Kai-O, asking, how much do indents on the back of the packaging affect grading on promo cards? Unfortunately, this is a pretty major deduction in the grade, especially with PSA. If it's a severe indent, like a binder dent or something similar to that, you're basically going to get an auto 6, no matter how nice the card looks outside of that indent. On on cards that have an indent, you might want to look into CGC. CGC or BGS. I'm sure BGS is similar. I personally don't use BGS whatsoever, but with CGC, they're a lot more lenient with indents. So if you have something with an indent, you might want to send it to CGC. Instead of that 6, you might get like a 7.5, 8. I don't think you could get an 8.5, but you're going to get a lot better of a grade with CGC versus PSA.
Yeah, Nick pretty much covered it. Occasionally they can sneak through. PSA is not perfect, nobody is. If it's very faint and minor, you could luck out and get a 9 or a 10, but the way that they handle those, you shouldn't. Generally, it docks it right to a 6. If it's a really bad one, it can go to a 5. But CGC, I've graded a couple like Masaki Mark cards. I've graded a couple cards that would have been a 6 at PSA, and I've seen them get, if everything else is like super minty fresh, I think you can get as high as like an 8.5 on a faint Masaki Mark that would be a 6 at PSA. So if and when you're ever buying cards like that in CGC cases, definitely keep that in mind. One thing I've talked about before is the potential to buy like a CGC 8.5 and then cross grade it to PSA 9 down the line. You're going to have a bad time trying to do that with CGC 8s or 8.5s that have Masaki marks or indents like that. So definitely look for where that would generally show up is the surface subgrade. So if the surface subgrade is like a 7.5 or an 8, you might be dealing with an indent. I think that covers that one. Next, Andrew M asks, do you feel that Fusion Strike is getting shafted compared to the other alt art sets in the Sword Shield block? It's cheaper than Battle Styles. Is that due to following like Evolving Skies? The tough act to follow. I don't really know. I've been a little bit out of touch with like Ultra Modern. Celebrations I loved. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I opened like 2 or 250 packs, I think. I haven't opened. I did one Evolving Skies box for an upload on my channel. I haven't opened any Fusion Strike. I haven't opened any Brilliant Stars. So yeah, I don't even really know how I feel about the set because I mean I've seen a little bit of it here and there, but one big question is like supply. Battle Styles has been out for quite a while. It's had its initial multiple waves, and then it's had reprints since. Fusion Strike would seem to be printed fairly heavily out of the gate. They had that whole bundle that people have talked about, $11,000 bundle with 100 Fusion Strike boxes in it. Things like that can really do a lot to suppress the pricing. Plus, me as a business, Nick as a business, Fusion Strike is a more recent set. So in a lot of ways, we're more confident that it will get subsequent reprints. Whereas Battle Styles, I'm still pretty confident we could see more Battle Styles down the line. But given that it's a little bit older, it's the further you go back, the less likely it is. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely think Fusion Strike is a dud of a set. Literally the only good alt art in Fusion Strike is the Gengar, and even that one is kind of iffy to me. I'm really not a big fan of that one. But outside of that, yeah, Fusion Strike, it's a tough one. I recently started selling on TCG Player, and I opened. So I had 18 booster boxes of Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, and Fusion Strike. that I opened all the boxes and listed all the cards on TCG Player because the boxes just weren't selling for me. So I decided to use that as kind of my starting off point on TCG Player. And the singles for Battle Styles and Chilling Reign have been selling really, really well. I very quickly sold out of all the hollows, the reverse hollows, the hits, the uncommon trainer cards have been selling really, really well for me from those sets. Battle Styles in particular has some really, really good trainer cards. So that's been doing really well. Fusion Strike, on the other hand, that has not been doing well whatsoever. I still have a ton of the reverse hollows and the hollows. The hits sold out; those normally sell out really quickly, but the hollows and the reverse hollows typically sell out pretty quickly as well. But for me, I still have a whole bunch of the hollows and the reverse hollows. The trainer cards with Infusion Strike, there's really not that many great trainer cards with Infusion Strike. So I think it was just a complete dud of a set.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about TCG Player. Getting into that, I'm starting to really get to know like what cards are playable versus what cards really aren't playable, and it's a fun learning experience for me.
I used to be in tune with all that back in the XY block when I first got into it. Phantom Forces was the set that I got back into. And then Primal Clash, Roaring Skies. I was selling anywhere from 99 cents to, I remember when Versus Seeker, a play set of that was like $29.99. The regular ones, just that was a $7 or $8 card. Versus Seeker, Battle Compressor, Ultra Balls, Rough Seas had to go for a little while from Primal Clash. I'm more in tune with like what was good from X and Y than Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield, because I just haven't been opening product the same way and selling the singles like that.
So our next question comes from Mike Z. I think CGC will be the TCG grading company for the next gen. CGC is cheaper and grading more cheap modern cards. Brand loyalty is a thing, and top 20% might stick to PSA, and bottom 80% to CGC. That's an interesting question there. I can definitely see where you're coming from, where a lot of what CGC is receiving is modern cards, and obviously the next generation of collectors are probably going to start off with modern cards. So they're going to have more options to purchase CGC cards versus PSA cards. But as a collector myself right now, I do prefer CGC. We've talked about it before. I love their cases. I love their labels. Basically everything about CGC. But it's their grading scale that really does need to change, and hopefully it has changed recently. But what was that? Oh yeah. I think so. The thing is, PSA's already built a solid foundation, and they're kind of already the go-to within Pokemon. And I think there's already enough people that have kind of built their collections around PSA that even going forward into the future, I think PSA is always still going to remain number one. I think CGC is going to give PSA a run for their money. I can see that happening, but I can't see a world where CGC beats out PSA.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thought. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were still going.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So the same day that this goes live, I have a video dropping on my channel, a little self-promotion now that I'm on a separate channel. Gonna be competing with myself here, dropping videos at the same time. But one thing that blew my mind when I dove into the CGC Pop Report a little deeper, PSA to date has graded 3.55 million Pokemon cards. CGC to date has graded 1.35 million. That gives like a market dominance to PSA of approximately 75%, which is big. It's a big majority, but 18 months ago, PSA had graded significantly less Pokemon cards because they're grading so many now too. But CGC has come from out of nowhere, and as of today, they've graded like, this is completely ignoring BGS, DSG, ABC, XYZ, all those other grading companies, but just between CGC and PSA, 1 out of every 4 cards graded between those two companies is a CGC card. That's pretty big. I know as far as my inventory goes, it's probably like 50-50. Maybe slightly heavier in PSA, but not significantly. Similar to you, I really like their case a lot more for my own personal collection. My personal collection is still primarily PSA, but there's a lot of like inventory setback collection, whatever you want to call it, that more and more every day there's CGC in there. So it's a really interesting thought 5-10 years down the line, especially if PSA struggles to get back down to $10 to $20 grading. Like right now, they're still not open to the public at 50. They're still doing this whole lottery thing. Middlemen you can get for 48, but we could be in a scenario where sports is so big that, especially a year's worth of people like stockpiling, waiting for those lower tiers, we might not see $25, $20, $15 grading for a couple years still. And if CGC is pumping cards out for somewhere between 10 and 15 bucks a piece, maybe the market dominance goes from 75% PSA down to 60%. Maybe in a few years, 50% of all Pokemon cards graded are CGC. It'll be really interesting to see. I have no idea. As mentioned, the higher end is almost exclusively PSA, but there is an illustrator in CGC cases. In a CGC case, there is there's no 10 Charizards yet, but I think there's a couple 9.5s. There's a few Pikachu trophies. There's more and more things coming here and there. So who knows? Competition generally good for the consumer. So I'm all about it. When CGC came onto the scene, I was hopeful that they'd give PSA a run for their money. And it's not gone the way I'd hoped completely, but they're definitely there. They're definitely doing stuff. I sell a lot of CGC slabs. Different pricing, generally lower pricing than PSA, but they're still out there, and be fun to follow along, see where it goes.
And I think they definitely have the competition between CGC and PSA is definitely good for us collectors, because pre-CGC, PSA had stopped grading a whole bunch of cards. For me, the No Damage Ninetales, they weren't even grading that card as being shadowless anymore. And when CGC came along and started saying, we'll grade all these different error cards, PSA started rethinking their philosophy and saying, okay, we'll start grading these cards again too, and actually designate them as being whatever they are, even though the naming PSA gave those types of cards is terrible. But another thing I wanted to mention was that I didn't think about when I was originally talking, but I think the biggest reason PSA will always remain number one is like what you say, Dan. People like tens, and people like collecting 10 sets of things. And with CGC, tens have gotten a little bit easier to grade and collect and all of that stuff. But I don't think we'll ever reach a point where it's feasible to build a complete CGC 10 set of whatever, unless you're a multi-millionaire able to just spend an absurd amount of money.
And just because I have it in front of me, of those 1.35 million CGC graded Pokemon cards, 1.1% of them are pristine 10 or perfect 10. whereas at PSA 37.23% of Pokemon graded cards are PSA 10. PSA 10 is the single most common grade. 37% 10s, 36% 9s. Whereas at CGC, unlike the meme, I kind of would have expected maybe 8.5 is the most common, but 9 is the most common with 36% at CGC.
What is 8.5?
8.5 is 21.5%.
Okay.
So 8.5 is more common than 9.5. But yeah, really, really interesting to put that data together on the grade distributions at each company and then kind of compare them. Next question comes from Your Average Player. With increased demand and printing costs, do you think the Pokemon Company will ever print in Europe? Shipping is expensive. Europe gets less items and higher MSP on a lot of their collection boxes. I don't know this for sure, but when we get like a figure collection, don't they get jumbos instead?
I believe so.
Isn't
They
it
get they get
some
they get some exclusive stuff because, like with Brilliant Stars, they got the Jumbo Charizard V Star.
it's some law to do with like small toys, I think, in packaged in the product like that.
Okay.
I had heard that. I guess I don't know for sure that that's true, but um that brings up an interesting point. Like the US compared to Europe, there are a lot of different laws, there's a lot of different bureaucracies, and it's easy for a collector to just say, "Oh, I wish Pokemon would have more distributors in Europe. I wish they would print in Europe. I wish PSA would come to Europe." There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of anytime you do something like that, it's not like you just fly across the pond, buy a building and fill it with employees. There's a lot going on there. So it's reasonable to me to think like Pokemon can't even keep up with printing in the US. They're instantly just automatically selling out of everything they manufacture. They probably don't have the time or the ability to think about expanding. They're just like pumping everything out they can now. I don't know. That's kind of my take, but will they ever? Maybe, but 25 years they haven't started. Or I guess I don't even know 100%. They must not, right? I guess they must print all in the US.
Yeah, I have no idea on that. I would assume so.
For some reason, I thought at one point, obviously they print Japanese over in Japan, but well, yeah, the made in UK, they did print some base set in UK, right? Fourth
I
print,
guess so. Yeah, yeah. If
like
it yeah, because
the
it does say made in UK. Yeah.
so back then they did. They must not be now. I honestly don't even really know. But yeah, like international edition, made in UK, all those booster variants. Some in Australia too, right? Red logo fossil, all that.
I don't know if those say made in UK
That
or
was
if it
that
was.
was
Or, I'm sorry, made in Australia, or if it was just like they put the red logo on there to differentiate it and then shipped it to Australia. I don't know how that all that worked. I have no
I'm
idea.
not positive either. And that was when it was WotC. Maybe I don't know if WotC prints Magic overseas or not. But yeah, I really don't know. I kind of get the frustration, all the import laws, and that's just again the added complexity. If Pokemon were to produce things over there, I think you would get around the need for the VAT, the value added tax on the products since they were made domestically. If they were made over there, but yeah, that's just a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, all that kind of stuff, governmental regulations, and just a difficult thing. I definitely feel for our international viewers that have all those added time and costs compared to us in America who have sales tax and all that, but not for resellers.
Yeah, I think I think it could happen at some point. I think of like Worlds happening in UK, so they definitely are recognizing that Pokemon's more of a international thing versus a just strictly domestic thing, and they are starting to branch out very slightly with the Worlds happening in London. But as far as opening up additional print facilities in Europe, I think they need to focus on getting caught up domestically before they can think about long term expanding into other countries, because like Dan said, right now they can't even keep up with demand here. So I think that's their primary focus. And speaking of print facilities, did you hear about Pokemon buying?
I was just gonna say that they bought Millennium.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see what happens with that. Hopefully they're able to start increasing their production, start making more modern product, and get these products out to stores, retailers, and stuff like that without having to do wave 1, wave 2, wave 10, so on and so forth. Um, that'll be exciting to see what happens.
One thing that intrigued me in that article, it said that Pokemon was going to have it operate separately, autonomously, but it also mentioned, like, when I first read the headline, I was thinking, oh, great. I don't know what percent Pokemon made up of their capacity, but now Pokemon gets 100%. But then the article that I read made it sound like they're still going to print non-Pokemon things for some of their other customers.
I think that makes
So
sense, though. That's just more revenue for them. Because I can't see it being Pokemon's going to use these printers 24/7 the entire year. Once we do kind of settle down a bit, there's got to be there's going to come a time where these printers are sitting idle, and if Pokemon says none of you guys can use these printers anymore, those other whatever other TCGs are being printed, they're not going to come back once they get kicked out.
it's hard to say. Yeah, like I have no concept of, is Pokemon 25% of their print capacity, or is it like 90% already? If it was 90% already, it would be like, yeah, just kick out the stragglers and then do it all Pokemon all the time. Get us up from like these amateur numbers of 3 to 4 billion cards per year. Let's pump it up to like 5 billion cards a year. Um, we probably actually don't want that. But yeah, I mean, maybe Pokemon's only 20 to 50% somewhere of Millennium's capacity, and it'll be cool if we ever see those numbers come out. Um, I'm not really sure of them. I'm not sure that they ever would share them, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I doubt we'd ever get those types of numbers. We're still waiting on WotC print numbers.
Yeah.
So next question comes from Matthew B. Yes, what are your thoughts on CGC and PSA not grading some types of non-TCG Pokemon cards? CGC Cardos cards, CGC and PSA phone cards doesn't want to rely on BGS. Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, BGS will grade anything. That's but I think the issue with CGC right now not grading those types of cards is just the case style. I think in the future we can see, or I think in the future CGC will start grading other non TCG Pokemon cards. It's just a matter of time for them to kind of work on a case that fits those types of cards. CGC just recently started grading Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that was something they had promised for over a year, and they just recently started grading them. And the reason behind that, or part of the reason they say that it took so long, was because they had to design a case for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I think that's the issue right now, with the non TCG type cards for CGC anyway. I definitely think moving forward, it would be a smart business decision for them to start grading these types of cards. But hopefully this happen at some point. But I think that's the biggest factor as to why they don't grade those types of cards right now. And as far as PSA grade not grading other types of non-TCG cards, that I would think PSA has like a bigger capacity and more different like cases available to fit these types of cards, where they do all types of sports cards and they do the jumbo cards and all of that. So I would think PSA has more of an ability to easily change their cases to fit the cards. But that's I don't know why PSA doesn't grade those types of cards. I think the I think CGC has more of an excuse. PSA I think is just stubborn and is more or less just set in their ways.
I think it's fair that they haven't started grading them yet. I mean, they still have a backlog of roughly 5 million cards, so
Yeah,
for
but even
them,
before the backlog, why weren't they grading them?
that's more reasonable. But yeah, I understand why they're not like putting too many resources to it right now. If you want to make the argument they should have been longer, that's more reasonable. But I'm not a great like card ass magi, all these different variants, top sun, blue back, no number. One thing that it makes me think of though, and part of their hesitance to just add on new things left and right. Heritage recently, did you see that? Was it a BGS? I think it was. There was a fake Top Sun
I
blue
didn't see
back.
that.
You didn't see that?
No.
I might have it right here. It was like the feature of their magazine right on the front cover.
Man.
And they published it and sent that out to like how many thousands of people.
And it was a fake card.
Yeah. It was like one of their highlight premiere cards. And it was fake. I have a stack of them next to me, but I apparently don't have that one.
I throw all those out. I don't even open them at this point.
I have a big stack I'm gonna need to do something with soon. I get like Hakes, Heritage, PWCC, all the ones that I've bought through before. They send out like the phone books of, of everything they have in their upcoming auctions. But yeah, part of their hesitancy is like, why, like, kind of like our last question, why go to Europe and do all that investment, all that added money when you can't even keep up with what's going on where you're at? Why invest too many resources into R&D, developing new slabs, developing the catalog and the capability to authenticate all these different variants when you already are building a backlog and can't keep up with your current grading? BGS is one that just grades anything. They grade fake Top Sun blueback cards apparently, and then they get Heritage putting them on the cover, and yeah, that whole thing was pretty crazy. I think Rattle did a video on it at one point, but news of that was out there. Other than that, down the line, long enough time horizon, if and when we get back to some level of normalcy where bulk returns are coming back in 3 months or less, if they're looking for more niches, looking for more cards to bring in, I could see them adding them down the line. But right now it's just like not much motivation, to more risk than reward, honestly. Like why risk slabbing fake cards that you're not 100% comfortable with when you're inundated with ones you know how to handle?
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah. Because BGS, I've got some in front of me, but BGS they even authenticate the Uno cards.
Yeah, the BGS will do anything. It's because
Yeah,
nobody submits to them, so they're
good
just
old
sitting around twiddling
BGS.
their thumbs. Mm. This
This
is your
one,
question.
this one's mine. It's weird being on this devoted channel because it used to be Nick would have his questions and I'd have mine. Now I'm getting all thrown off. So Pokemartin asks, how do you decide if you're better off auctioning cards versus having them sit in your buy it now inventory? Essentially, it comes down to when you auction a card, generally speaking, you get less money now versus if you sell as a buy it now, it's going to take a little longer to sell, but you're going to generally get more money. There's no definitive answer. It's a very dynamic situation. It's dependent on my cash flow. If I just spent $100,000 funding 401ks and funding IRAs and paying my tax bill, which I might have recently done, I'm going to be more prone to wanting to send auctions off, maybe to move some things at lower margins, to just replenish capital, have that liquidity, have that cash ready to go. If I've just made a massive sale, if I'm sitting pretty and have a big pile of cash, I don't have any motivation to send off auctions if I've already got more than I know what to do with, which is a very rare, if ever, occurring thing. There's always too many things to buy. So part of it is like my bank account, my current cash flow situation. Another part of it is like, what card is it? What items do I have? If I've got CGC 10 perfect cards and I think that CGC just made it easier to get perfect 10s, I might be more prone to getting those sold sooner because I think the short to medium term trajectory of the price is going to be down. So like say the lowest buy now listing on a card might be $500. If I think that card is headed to $200 next year, I'd rather auction it today than try to play that game racing to the bottom with buy it nows. I was in that situation a year and a half ago. I was auctioning off some PSA 9 unlimited Charizards at $5,000. I was auctioning off some PSA 10 EVs at $500 to $700 a piece because I was happy just getting rid of them then. So yeah, it's about multiple factors. The two biggest being where I think the card is headed in the future, and then what my current cash flow situation is.
It's a good answer. I don't auction cards. I can't remember the last time I had my own cards on auction. I used to like to run my own auctions to kind of to move through inventory and kind of build more exposure for my buy it now eBay listings. But now that I have consignment auction blocks going on, that kind of accomplishes that whole aspect of gaining exposure and having more traffic to my eBay store and those buy it now listings. One thing that I did start doing, which I guess is auctioning, is I've just recently started getting back into Whatnot, and I do plan on being more consistent with Whatnot. So I just did my first live stream this afternoon, actually, and right now I'm planning on doing a live stream every week, probably Wednesday afternoon-ish. But with those auctions, it's going to be cards that I really don't want to list on eBay. So for me, it's going to be excellent to played condition WotC hollows. I got a bunch of EX hollows, reverse hollows, stuff like that. Lower grade stuff that really wouldn't move too well on eBay. So that type of stuff I'm going to focus on Whatnot, just to kind of clear through some of the some more or less some of the junk that I have.
Big advertisement for next Whatnot. Go check it out.
Yeah, if you guys want to buy some junk, be sure to hop on. But yeah, you normally for me, anything like anything decent, near mint condition, Watsy hollows, stuff like that, I'll just list as buy it now and leave it up there until it sells. I've got a bad tendency of liking to see my active eBay listings grow versus decrease. So that's why I don't hardly ever auction stuff off. Plus, it's a pain auctioning versus just having it set to buy it now with all the non-paying buyers and stuff like that. Auctions are definitely more of a hassle than buy it now. So it's a lot easier just to kind of set it and forget it than have to worry about managing all these auctions and having them end every week and having to auction new cards every week and all that stuff. At least on eBay's end. Whatnot's a little bit easier to auction cards because you're just showing a quick view of the front and back and selling it that way.
Yeah, and if you start adding in auctions of your own stuff, then it's gonna make your monthly recaps a little bit harder, right? Because right now, all the buy it now sales are yours, all the auctions are consignments. You're gonna be muddying that up if you auction your own things.
Yeah, I really can't auction my own things on eBay.
Your hands are tied now. I I'm contemplating sending a few things to auction, but I'm back and forth on it because like certain things I don't want to say the bottom is in, buy everything now, but I think there are certain things that are leveling off, maybe picking up a little bit. Some people out there are saying, is this a bull trap? Is the bottom in? Um, no idea, but leaning towards at least on certain things, high grade, hollow, first edition WotC cards, generally speaking. I think some of those don't have like too much lower to go potentially. Or maybe they'll drop another 50%, but not financial advice. So part of me doesn't really want to auction things, but then another part of me is like bigger economic picture. If we go into a recession, depression, then things really could drop 50% more. And I'm back and forth on which one of those might be true. My liquidity has been variable. Bought a car earlier to start the year, all the tax stuff I was talking about, and my mind's all over the place on where the market's headed and what best my best path forward is. But earlier in the year, late December, early January, I was gonna do like a bi-weekly auction, and I did it for like 3 times, I think. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be monthly now. And then I contemplated doing it quarterly. I don't know where I'm at on all that, but
Semi-annually,
yeah,
yearly.
I have a few things that I'm contemplating sending off to auction. I don't know though. Um, I do periodically. I have a lot of stuff in the PWCC vault still. A lot of
Have you
inventory, some more like collection.
have you been
Long
doing PWCC auctions? Like sending stuff to auction still?
a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but um people are all over the place on that. People are like, "Oh, PWCC is getting crazy prices," and I sent a bunch during that time period. Some of my stuff did go higher. Like some of it was duplicate stuff. I had some on eBay, and it went higher than what. Like I netted more on eBay than on PWCC than I would have grossed on eBay,
Well,
which
I got a
was.
funny story about that.
And then now it's like every other week in Discord or on E4 or wherever, it feels like, oh, CGC's. I actually made a post the other day on E4, like auctions vary a lot. These items are a liquid, they vary a lot. When you auction a liquid items, you're gonna have massive ranges, but like people just think, oh, PWCC gets a premium, PWCC gets nothing, and it flip flops every other week. It's like auctions just vary a lot. That's all it is. What's your story?
Yeah, so I haven't mentioned this at all yet. I think I briefly mentioned it to you. But I recently started collecting PSA 9 Charizard cards, just as something different to collect. So I recently started to do that, and past couple of weeks I've been buying a handful of like the modern PSA 9 Charizard cards. And the last auction block they had that ended last Sunday, I bought a PSA 9, the secret rare from Flashfire 108.
Mhm.
And for what, I don't know what I was thinking. Because so normally like Friday night, Saturday, I'll go through everything, put my maximum bid in, and just let the auctions run their course. So with that card in particular, I looked on eBay. There was a buy it now copy available for like 175, 180 bucks, somewhere in there. So I said to myself, well, since I'm probably going to get a big group of these cards off of PWCC, I'll put a maximum bid in of $200 with the buyer's premium. But I accidentally put a bid of $200 plus the buyer's premium. So I ended up paying $260 for that card when I could have bought the same card on eBay for 180.
So there you go, people. People
PWCC
have
does get
always
premiums.
yeah, people have always speculated. Like, is it people not factoring in the buyer's premium? Is it this, that, whatever? The more platforms that come up, like Heritage is doing stuff basically weekly. There's PWCC, there's Golden. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's really spread out. And unless you're doing this for a full-time job, which Nick and I are, I'm not even looking at eBay auctions every day. I'm not hitting every week of Heritage. Like, it's more than I can keep up with, and I'm doing this full time, which is just crazy. So people just get in their minds that X card is worth Y dollars, and to me, like I don't even know what they're going for. Like, what's a PSA 9 unlimited Charizard right now? Like 1400 ish.
Yeah.
To me, it's reasonable that like Golden, Heritage, PW, wherever it is, it wouldn't surprise me if one given week one goes for 1,000, and then the next day, the next week, whenever, goes for 2,000. Like, all these things can easily trade in a range of like 2 times the low.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the price. Like, people would see 1,500 and then 1,000 and say the market just tanked 33% in a week. Oh my God, the sky is falling. And then the next week it'll go to 200, like 2,000. The market just doubled. Like, let's go. It's just crazy because like stronger and weaker grades exist.
Yep.
Some people just aren't on every platform all the time. Like, it's there's just gonna be a lot of variance. And people just really overreact to singular price points, and between any two price points people draw a line and then project it out in their mind whether that's up or down, and just get really like emotional and reacting intensely to a lot of those things. I don't know, it's kind of a bit silly in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think the only things that don't vary as much are sealed product boxes. I mean, mainly boxes. Even packs have a good bit of variance, but sealed boxes, those are pretty consistent with their pricing. But single cards definitely have a wide range in pricing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a dynamic thing. You can't just put single numbers on anything really. It's a range. This last one's gonna be you. I paraphrased it. It's not really a question. It's just like a follow-up on one of our last questions.
Okay. Cardboard Origins, approximately 1 month ago. Research request with PSA 2008 Bandai DB CGC sets and PS added it. I did inquire about another card game and they never got back to me. So
Your mileage may vary. Yeah, I was gonna say This is where the paraphrasing is coming in to be difficult. I don't think Nick reviewed our notes and read these before my paraphrasing, but there was a question in our last podcast, like, how do you go about getting new sets added to PSA's database?
Mm-hmm.
Cardboard Origins just shared in the comments. Again, not really a question. I just wanted to share it in case anyone was interested. About 1 month ago, they put in a research request with PSA for 2008 Bandai Dragon Ball, I'm assuming. And PSA added it. I left the A off there. PS added it. So they mentioned that 1 month ago, they put in a request and PSA added, like, fairly quickly. It sounds like they added the new set, and then they inquired about another one and they didn't add it. So I put your mileage may vary. Hit them up. They'll add some things. They won't add some things. They might reply to you. They might not reply to you. That was just somebody's anecdotal experience. So I wanted to share that.
Just depends on who you get in contact with and how good their day's going.
And I'm sure it depends on what it is too. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball, but maybe they were doing a year right around that. Maybe it was an easy ad because of them already grading something similar. Whereas going back to our earlier question, phone cards are just more niche, less similar, a bit more of like a hurdle as far as research goes. But a little over 50 minutes in and we're already through the questions.
Well, that was a fun episode. Have a good night, everyone.
If we published something under an hour, people would be like, what happened? They just switched to a new channel and then they're tanking. We did touch on some of the recent news. I alluded to briefly the whole theory that's out there about CGC grading easier. I talked about the CGC pop report too. I don't know if you want to talk anymore about either of those. If you want to talk about, I have the eBay vault written down.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought of while we were recording was the Illustrator coming up on Heritage. That's
I
going to
did
be
see
a
that.
really exciting auction to see where that goes. Do you have any predictions on where that one's going to end up?
So there's one that Heritage is already, I think they posted it on their website with like a placeholder image, so you can't see it yet. But then they did a couple hours later show a video on their Instagram. So that's one PSA 9 Illustrator that's coming up. I've heard another's coming up soon. I don't know exactly where, but 2 cards of that caliber, 2 cards of that tier hitting at the same time. It'll be really interesting to see. Way beyond my bankroll, way beyond anything I can. But I think, complete guess, I would guess they'll go under the valuation of 1.275 million that was attributed to the 9 that was sold to Shine, or how'd it go?
Shine kind of middlemaned it.
The 9, yeah, the 9 was sold to Logan through Shine's middlemanning,
Mm-hmm.
and then subsequently traded with $4 million to the 10.
Yep.
So yeah, if I complete guess, I'm gonna say less than the last one. I don't know how public the information is, and not even 100% confirmed, but I've heard that another Illustrator will be coming up shortly. So how much will that impact the buyer when they go to bid on it? If you know that another one's coming up in a few weeks, you might bid a little less aggressively. Who knows?
Yep.
What's your
Yeah.
guess?
Yeah, I'm gonna say right at $1 million. Maybe. Yeah, I'll say right at $1 million. Either that or just under $1 million. But I do think it's going to be a lot less, significantly less than the trade valuation for the one Logan Paul traded away.
And that's where, like, going back to what I just said a few minutes ago, I think saying like significantly less is a little bit like, not that it's wrong. Like if it sells for 900,000 or $1 million, $300,000 less, $250,000 less is a lot of money. But like, I wouldn't say the price necessarily went down. I would say if the next one sells for $1 million and then the next one after that sells for 900,000, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's decreasing. I would just say that a PSA 9 illustrator is worth approximately 1 million. Some are
Yeah.
going to go for slightly more, some are going to go for slightly less because these are very illiquid things.
Yeah.
That's just, but you know how it is. Like if it sells for more, a line's going to be drawn between two of them. Oh, the next one's going to go for this. Market's tanking. If it goes down, that's just the way. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But there is also, John Pokemon Radar sent his TMB,
Yep.
and I believe there's also, isn't there an SSB as well, or no?
I don't know. I didn't see that one. I just knew the illustrator and the TMB, which that'll be another interesting one to see where that ends up.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see that. I think now is definitely a good time to try and sell it. Hopefully they're able to find a buyer for it. I don't know if he put a reserve on it this time or if it's just going to go for whatever. But I think it'll definitely do better than the last time he tried to sell it.
Yeah. I forget where that ended. It didn't hit reserve through Golden.
I want to say it was just over 60, maybe 65,
And it was a
somewhere in there.
PSA 7.5, and now it's a CGC 8.5, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that'll definitely be interesting to see.
Yeah. Trying to pull up on Heritage if I can find it, but I haven't yet. They have a PSA 10 Mysterious Pearl coming up. I think there's quite a few trophies coming up. Pika Ring, Victory
Oh, I did see
Orb,
that one too. Yeah.
Mew Orb, BGS 9.5, Championship Arena. There's a lot of pretty solid cards coming up.
That'll be a fun auction block to keep track of.
Yeah, it's open at the end. It's open in like a month from now, so that'll be. There's a bunch of Zorua stuff. Zorua, Zoroark.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see for sure. PSA 9 gold stars, some boxes.
I think they have boxes in every single one of their auctions.
Yeah. Yeah. PSA 10 Master Scroll. Scott actually has one of those up right now
Yeah. Yep.
on eBay. I think it's at 15,000 and it ends probably this weekend. Oh, oh yeah. The creatures deck. CGC
Oh, yes.
9.5. CGC 9.5 creatures deck Charizard. That'll be really interesting to see. There's been
There's
some
a PSA 9 somewhere, isn't there? PWCC maybe?
maybe. That sounds right.
Right. I thought I saw a Slowpoke story. Not his copy, but another copy up for auction.
That
Those will
sounds
be
right.
those will be interesting to see where those end up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, there's just so many platforms, there's so many auction houses. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's too many. You do a lot better job um at keeping up with all those auctions than I do. I hardly ever keep track of those.
There's a base first box as well. That same auction block. I feel like I'm doing a terrible job lately keeping up with it. I'm trying to get focused on selling everything. I still don't even have everything listed. But I haven't bought much through eBay, like random supplies here and there. I've hardly been bidding on any auctions on eBay, and I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of potential value by not being there and bidding more, but it just comes down to lower liquidity, lower cash flow right now, and trying to just churn through my own personal backlog, which I'm hopeful by like summer, sometime in the late summer, I should be done with it. This was my most recent CGC return. So like I have nothing else out at CGC.
That's good.
Very good. PSA though, I still have a couple thousand cards, over 1,000 cards at least. I don't think it's 2,000, but it's over 1,000, which is just crazy.
Yeah, that is. I wish I was in that position. I was bummed out the other day. Speaking of not even keeping track of eBay auctions, Rusty had those 3 EX Sandstorm packs with the international. It was missing the Nintendo seal on the back, and the barcode had a different number on it. For some reason, I used to get notifications on my phone of anything that happened on eBay. So like anytime someone bid, I got a message. Something was ending on my watch list, I'd get a notification. But those notifications stopped on my phone, so I don't get any eBay notifications anymore. And I don't know why it happened. I'm thinking maybe my phone got overloaded with eBay notifications. I don't know. I've tried everything and nothing's worked. But so I completely missed that auction of Rusty's that I wanted. I wanted to add that into my pack collection, but that didn't happen. And that sold for a good price, I thought. It sold for like $720 for the 3 packs, and I was gonna put a bid of 900 on it, 300 a pack, which is a slight premium over regular EX Sandstorm packs, but you just don't see that variant. But yeah, because my phone didn't give me my notification, and I don't check my eBay watch list often anymore. Completely missed out on that one.
Dang iPhones.
If I had an Android phone, the thing would blow up with all my notifications. iPhones are the only ones that can handle it. Yeah, and then did you want to talk about the eBay vault? Give everyone the rundown, because I know I completely missed that when you told me that.
I forget, in line with like so many cards selling on so many different platforms, there's so much locations for like information. Did I see it on YouTube or Instagram or Discord, or I don't remember where I saw it, but I think they did have a little YouTube promo video, maybe like a 2-minute little teaser trailer. But yeah, summer of 2022. I think when they initially announced it, it was going to be 2022. Now they've kind of narrowed it down to summer of 2022. They're going to start rolling out the eBay vault, and eligible cards will be any at or above $750 valuation. So they're kind of rolling it out similarly to how they rolled out the authenticity guarantee. I am super excited personally for the eBay vault. One thing that the eBay authenticity guarantee does is it's going to come at a cost, I'm quite sure. Right now they're kind of covering the cost, supposedly, doing it on their own dime. But seller protection, the way that it's supposed to work, I send a card to the eBay vault. Their experts verify that it's there, it's good, it's authentic. When someone buys it from the vault, similar to like PWCC, once you sell it out of PWCC, once they pay, PWCC ships it, there's no like item not as described. There's no returning it from the buyer's end. There's buyer protection in some instance, as far as like, you're not going to get an empty box, you're not going to get the wrong item or anything like that. But as a seller, like when you sell through the eBay vault, theoretically, there's no returns. It's a final sale, and that is like massively attractive as a seller. I'm going through one thing right now. I forget if I sent that to you, but unfortunate situation. A Masaki card. I sold a Masaki PSA 9 Alakazam. I had like 4 of them at one point, 3 or 4 of them at one point. And I've got an inventory right now of 4,000 or 5,000 cards. I don't even take the pictures myself. I have someone do the pictures for me. I have them do a front and a back, high-res photos, put those up on eBay. And then you've got the grading company. You've got the third-party expert grading opinion, right? Well, PSA misses things. It was a PSA 9 apparently, Masaki Alakazam with the Masaki marks. It sucks. They sent pictures that I couldn't even really see very well. Funny thing, it was a 2-cert, the whole 2-cert meme.
That's why.
But like, and I don't think this is the case, but like they sent me only back pictures. I'm assuming it's the same card, but like technically I can't even see the certification number to verify that it's the same card. Technically, it could be any old back Japanese card with Masaki like indents. It's probably the same card, but they've opened a return. I'm going to try to fight it. I'm probably going to lose, but I'm trying to, because the way that they came out of it, the way they came at me about it is like, you scammer. Why didn't you fully describe the condition of this item? And my initial, like, they didn't come out that heavy, but they kind of like long novel, long thing. Why would you do this? Why didn't you send better pictures? Why didn't you describe the damage? Blah, blah, blah. And I just said the listing was for a PSA 9 Masaki Alakazam. That's what I photographed. The pictures were there. It's a 9. I sent it to you, and it is what it is. And then they came back with the scammer, this, that, and funny thing, they actually threatened, new thing for me, but it might be a thing moving forward. I don't know if Rattle watches our videos, but they threatened to go to Rattle on me.
Oh, Jesus.
They're like, I'm going to leave a negative feedback, you scammer. I'm going to blow this up everywhere. I'm going to go to Rattle. And I just said, because I talk with Rattle, and I don't know him that well. He's never been on here. I've never been on his channel. I might be coming on soon. But I'm like, tell Mike Dan says hi. Because I've talked with him through DMs and stuff before. I talked with him a little bit about the whole Logan case thing, and E4 years ago, I talked to him a little bit. But yeah, that whole thing, like, my biggest thing is it sucks that there's an issue. It sucks more that, like, I had that PSA 8 base first Charizard that I thought should have been a 6, and they failed to financial guarantee it.
Yep.
Mike, Professor Oak Callie, had that PSA 10 Nidoking Shadowless that they failed to financial guarantee. One of them...
Someone just posted pictures of a PSA 10 Pichu that has all kinds of print lines.
Pichu fan, right?
I forget who it was.
I think it was Pichu fan, and then let me see. I remember seeing that though.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and then I think I linked the post of Mike's Professor Oak Callie.
Yep. Yeah, that Nidoking's another one. It looks absolutely awful.
It was a Neogenesis Pichu, and it was Pichu Collector on Instagram who posted it. So yeah, like unfortunately, PSA is making it quite clear that they're not going to uphold the PSA financial guarantee. The way that I see it, if eBay forces the return on me, I'm obviously going to have to take it and refund the person. No matter what happens, a video is coming out of this transaction. Maybe it's Rattle making a video about me being a scammer. Maybe it's maybe I win the case, and maybe I mean, at this point I'm talking about it now, so I guess it has not its own video, but it has this little portion in our video. But it's a really unfortunate thing because like I didn't scam him. I didn't know it was a thing. Had I known it was a thing, I would have financial guaranteed it myself, likely been denied, and then I would have made a video about it, and I would have sold it. What I did with the Charizard PSA 8 that I had, it was roughly a $11,000 or $12,000 card at the time. I sold it, disclosing the issues. If I see the issues, I'm going to disclose them.
Yeah.
Even though PSA, the head grader at PSA, upheld the 8, I sold it for 10 grand flat at a slight discount. So if and when I get stuck with this Masaki and it fails to downgrade, I'll probably do the same thing. I'll make a video about it. I'll talk about James's Pichu. I'll talk about Mike's Nidoking, and I'll talk about just how the PSA guarantee doesn't exist. Maybe it'll be a good ending, and maybe I'll either win the eBay case and I won't have to get it back, and then the buyer will subsequently get refunded from PSA, or maybe I'll get it back. I'll lose the case, and then maybe PSA will stand by in this instance because I honestly couldn't tell well from the pictures. Looking at them on my phone, maybe on my PC I can better, but I've definitely seen this would not be the first PSA 9 or PSA 10 Masaki card with slight indents that I've seen. And maybe PSA does allow for like super minor ones to get by. We'll see. Super unfortunate situation, but
What's the time frame been? Like when did he receive it and when did he open the case?
he opened it within the 3 days.
Okay, so yeah, he's definitely eBay's definitely going to side with him because that's the same thing that happened with my legendary collection Meowth that I had on consignment that I talked about within my last video. Buyer said he didn't agree. It wasn't even that. It was something where the buyer said he didn't agree with the 10 grade that it got, and he sent pictures of the front and the back of the card, and it looked fine to me. And so I said, you bought a PSA 10, you got a PSA 10, you got the same cert number, blah, blah, blah. He responded back saying, yeah, but I don't agree with the grade. PSA makes mistakes, all of this. I responded back with, then use the PSA financial guarantee. And I just let it sit from there on. He might have responded back with something. I just let it sit from there on. After 2-3 days, whatever, eBay steps in and escalates the case. They ruled in the buyer's favor so that he could return the card back to me. And I actually called eBay on that and said, why is he able to return this from, even though he got exactly what he paid for and blah, blah, blah. And they basically said, we have to allow buyers a window to open a return request. There's really nothing you can do about it.
And that's insane. Like
it drives me absolutely crazy.
That's where the eBay vault is going to be really, really nice because then it will just be a final sale. It's an unreasonable burden to put on somebody. It's like the whole reason third-party authentication and grading exists is to allow for like a third-party impartial service to deem the grade. And then to just allow anybody, because people can clearly game that system, and buyer's remorse, their exhaust falls off their car and they need $500 to fix that. Oh, let me just INAD that card that I bought less than 3 days ago. And it's an unfortunate situation, but yeah, it is what it is, I guess. eBay would say it's a cost of doing business, and
yeah, exactly.
Lucky for them, it's not their cost of doing business. It's your cost of doing business.
Exactly. No, but the eBay vault will definitely be interesting. Both from that perspective as well as to see what comes in the future. If they're going to start offering like weekly auctions or whatever through the vault or something like that going forward. I'll be really interested to see about that. So I think they could give PWCC a real good run for their money if they did start doing weekly auctions on eBay through the eBay vault.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. And going back quickly, just wrap up my whole, like, some people will probably hear everything I said and be like, oh, what an ass. He should have just taken it all back. The thing that gets me is like, they literally, if they leave a negative feedback, I almost definitely can get that removed because they threatened negative feedback. They threatened to sick a rattle on me. They threatened all these things and called me a scammer and this and that. I sold relatively recently. It was actually a couple CGC 9 Gold Star dogs. And I don't even know what happened, but it was Entei and Roku maybe. I think I sold the set to somebody internationally. They paid me PayPal friends and family, so they had no recourse. They had no way to force a return on me, but they were like a reasonable human being. They reached out to me like, "Hey Dan, I think they bought like 5 or 6 cards from me, and there was 2 of them that they were just like, I'm a pretty particular collector. These CGC 9s have a slight like, it wasn't a bend, it was super faint."
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I've listed the cards. I have them here somewhere, but they're like, I'm sure you didn't see it. CGC must have missed it. Maybe it happened during encapsulation. They're like, I really am not happy with these cards. Could I exchange them? Could I, like, do you have any duplicates of these? I actually did have a second of one of them, and then they wanted to like trade one up towards some other card I had instead. Just like the way that they framed it all, the way they came to me, I did it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they actually offered like, I'm gonna send the cards back to you, and I'm gonna pay you because they traded up to a more expensive card on one of them. They're like, I'm gonna send you $150 to cover the shipping and to cover the extra. And I'm like, you just like gave me, like, it's not an optimal situation. I've got to take a return, but like how reasonable you were, how you laid it all out nicely. Send 100. It's like knock $50 off what you just proposed, because this is just like such a smooth
Mm-hmm.
process, and you're being such a reasonable human about it that
Yep.
I want to. So like if the person had come to me and been like, hey, this PSA 9 Masaki, I see you got 1,000 listings in your store. You probably didn't see it. You're like, can I return it? I'm just really not happy. I'm concerned that PSA might not honor their guarantee, whatever. Like if they had just come back, this sucks. I kind of want to return it. I would have accepted the return. I accept them occasionally under reasonable circumstances, but when I get called a scammer and this, it's like, I'm gonna fight it. I'm probably gonna
Yeah.
lose, but I'm gonna fight it.
No, I'm the exact same way as you. If people are nice about wanting to return something or something like that, absolutely go ahead, no problem. But when people act like that, just fight it as much as you can. Make it as difficult as possible.
The
I'd
thing
even
is,
go a step further. I've done this before. eBay gives you 3 days from when you receive it to issue the refund. Wait until that last second to issue his refund.
yeah,
11:59 of that night.
yeah, that'll show them.
It makes me feel good inside.
Yeah, it's just such a terrible situation, but it's only exacerbated by like turning yourself into the victim, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, those situations are never fun right there. But that's the eBay vault. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to change my timestamp to Dan's rant on returns. I wrote it down as eBay vault.
I just pulled up the screenshot of the message, and I was just re-reviewing it. I've reviewed it a couple times. I'm like, ugh.
Oh.
I shouldn't continue to go on. I have to see how it all unfolds, and then I'm sure there'll be a follow-up. Whether I'm on Rattle's channel or whether I'm on my own channel, we'll see.
Might give you a nice bump in subscribers being on Rattle's channel.
Yeah.
That's one way to bump up your numbers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just start scamming people.
Yeah. Oh god.
Uh,
Yeah, so now that I'm a little bit riled up, um,
what other hot takes do we got?
we touched on briefly CGC potentially grading easier, and I did post on my Instagram today. I had a return of 250 cards from CGC.
Mhm.
I can't really easily show them all, but like I have 10 CGC perfect 10s next to me right now, and then further 15 pristine 10s. In my first 4,000 cards I got back from CGC, I did not get that many pristine and perfect 10s. You haven't really gotten a return back in this potentially easier to grade era, right?
I have not. No, I got one, or I should be getting one back from Ledkins in the next couple days. So hopefully, although I put subgrades on all those cards, so
Oof.
it'll be it'll be another 8-5 submission.
And we did just talk with Peter too, and he had the opinion that they are probably grading easier. I don't have the data handy, but as we start seeing, I did mention the current CGC 10 rate of 1.1%. That's cumulative between the perfect 10 and the pristine 10. My own anecdotal small sample size was 10% 10s, 25 out of 250. In the coming weeks, month, year, we'll see like a substantial amount of cards added to the CGC pop report. If it goes from 1.1% 10s to 15% 10s, then we can be fairly certain that something changed.
Yeah,
Not that
absolutely.
magically everyone started sending in way more quality cards, but and the way that you can kind of parse that out too is like don't look at the whole thing all together, because maybe like the newest set Astral Radiance will be like 10 times better quality from the printers. Probably not, but like if you look at one card, Sword Shield 50, that there's been 15,000 of them graded, if that card suddenly has a big jump, 5x in its 10 rate, that'll tell you something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So definitely be looking into that down the line and following up in some videos, diving into the CGC Pop Report. Have you done much with the CGC Pop Report or not really?
I have not. No,
Have
no.
you like?
I've hardly looked at it whatsoever outside of a few minutes when they first released it.
It is nice to look at and nice to navigate. I really like the layout and all that. Compared to PSAs for sure.
Yeah, no. PSA is they're terrible compared to CGC when it comes to like user friendliness.
Yeah. Yeah, but that'll be interesting.
I'm excited to get back. I did a recent CGC submission back. I gotta look into when I actually sent those cards out and when I got the email that CGC received them, because I feel like it was a few weeks ago, but maybe it was less. But I am excited to see how those cards do. That submission was just grading, no subgrades, and I spent a good bit of time looking over everything, making sure there was like no whiteness or anything like that. So hopefully that submission will be have a decent amount of tens in there, or
what were the
even
cards?
nines and 9.5s would be fine by me.
What were the cards?
It was a lot of celebrations, some vivid voltage, Charizards, a lot of modern stuff. Some of those like cross-hatched Pokemon League promos that I have.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you do. Hopefully you get blessed with some tens like I did.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. I have a feeling now. I think more about it. I have a feeling this next return with subgrades is going to be another brutal one. I do want to know what cards did I send off with subgrades? It's got to be something good.
Hopefully. You're
Uh,
definitely paying up for them, so an extra $10 a card. I hope it's something good.
yeah, I was shocked when I saw, because I got the email from Ludkin saying you have a CGC return, and then the next email was the black card invoice they sent out. So I think in my email from Ludkins from Peter, he said 200 cards coming back. And then I said, okay, so like 10-ish bucks a card, $2,000. And then I looked at the black card invoice and $4,000.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully that's something decent.
hopefully the cards better be worth $21 a piece.
Yeah. Oh God. On Pop Reports, I guess. Did you see that Wada came out with Pop Reports?
I don't follow Wada whatsoever.
I've long had on my like wish list something I've been minimally keeping an eye on, getting like a Pokemon Yellow graded. So far, I've just opted for the poster from Amazon for $20.
The knockoff poster,
Yeah.
by the way.
But yeah, Pop Reports did come out. Like I'm looking at them right now. Pokemon Crystal. Where did it just go? Okay. So Pokemon Crystal, there's only 30 graded total.
Wow. I can kind of see that. Because grading video games really wasn't a thing until very recently.
Yeah, and I don't know what their turnaround times are. Like there could be 30 graded and there could be like 30 there. Like there could be 100 there. Who knows? I have no idea what their turnaround times are. But yeah, Crystal has 30 total, 2 9.8s, 3 9.6s, 7 9.4s. Why am I not seeing yellow?
There's no graded yellow versions, that's why.
Yeah.
Now, does that include all the variants, or do they list those separately?
I think they put them all together.
Okay.
Video games are crazy with the variants that they have.
Yeah. So I was wondering if is it just 30 crystals of that one specific variant, and then there's 1,000 variants?
So there are there's a plus that I can expand, and there's 3 things: made in Japan, corrected double-ended box, corrected Y-fold box, misprinted. So yeah, there are 3 varieties. But yeah, I mean, I think Pop Reports are overall good for the hobby to just have that data there, have that transparency there.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do have those now, so that's good. Never hurts to have more data. Okay, here's yellow. So 194 total yellow with 5 9.8s, and then red and blue have about 150 each.
That makes sense to me. Because you definitely do see more red and yellow, red and blue on eBay than yellow and then crystal. Even just like the raw sealed copies.
Yeah, like yellow has 5 variants. One of the variants only has, it looks like it's a Walmart movie ticket sticker. There's only one of those graded.
A Walmart movie ticket sticker, huh?
Yeah, no idea what that is.
Apparently, it's a super rare error or variant.
Yeah, I would like to pick one up just for the personal collection eventually. I don't know that I ever will. It's hard to pay a couple grand. I mean, potentially several $1,000s depending on the grade. And I don't even know. Like when we were at Collecticon in Orlando, somebody had, I think it was an 8.5 there, and the box seemed pretty rough. Like there,
James was saying that to us at one point when we were talking, how like a, I think he was saying like a 9.2 or maybe I forget what he was saying, but he was saying like we were thinking like this grade was gonna be good, and he said it's like garbage.
yeah. I think WADA is owned by collectors, same as PSA. I think they grade a fair bit easier than like VGA. I think a lot of people see a WADA 9.2 or 9.0 and they assume it's going to be the same as a VGA 9. But as far as I understand, complete novice when it comes to video game grading. But I think a VGA 9 is a fair bit higher than like a WADA 9. But yeah, this, I think it was a WADA 8.5, and it had like if you took a pen and gouged it into the box, and it wasn't like that was on the side or the back, it was on Pikachu's freaking forehead. I'm like, I don't want to spend $4,000 or whatever it was on a gouged out Pikachu. I mean, put it on the back. I don't really care as much, but
Yeah, no, definitely not.
and it could have been a misgrade. I mean, that exists in cards too. I have no idea. Like maybe that wasn't representative of what a lot of 8.5s look like, but I have no idea. Next convention, when we're down in Charlotte, I'll have to try to make it a point to get more WADA graded games in hand and just see what they look like.
I'm hoping to be able to walk around a little bit in Charlotte. If not, definitely Denver. Because I do kind of miss that, just being able to walk around and see everything. I really didn't walk around whatsoever in Orlando, but I guess it was busy, so I guess that's a good thing too.
Yeah, you were selling too much.
But yeah, no. Worst case, I'm planning to just go to Denver for fun. Charlotte will vend again. Denver, I don't think I'm gonna vend.
Yeah, probably same for me. I'm gonna be just like a backpack vent. Well, I've got a table, but I'm gonna bring like a backpack's worth of stuff to vend at Charlotte. I'm not gonna have quite the spread that you will. Maybe I'll bring some of my CGC 10 perfects if I still have them.
There we go.
These might move quick though. Pop one in the world. The cleanest, nicest Glaceon GX you've ever seen. It does look good too. Like I don't usually look too closely at my cards. I just take the grade for what it is, but these look pretty clean.
I would hope so.
Perfect, one might say.
I see what you did there. Well, I don't really have anything else. I can't think of any other topics.
The only other hot topic that I had in current events is a little bit of the paywall conversation that's gone on. Such a small, like so much overlap in all these different communities. It's like when one person talks about something, it kind of makes its rounds and everyone chips in their own little thoughts on it. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that. If you had any, we both do run. Well, we're both partnered in different Patreons, so we're both involved in paywalling content. So obviously, if we do give our thoughts and opinions, it is with our own bias of being people selling content like that.
Yeah, I don't have a really strong argument either way. If I think if you want to create a Patreon or something, I say go for it. And if people want to join it, it's really up to them. Either way, I don't think it doesn't hurt my feelings that people don't join it, or I don't like the people who join it better than people who don't join it or whatever. So I'm very impartial to it, I guess. But I can see the benefit of creating a Patreon and charging for your content if you do put in the time and the effort to kind of make it worthwhile for people, whether that be just uploading consistent videos and regular videos, or putting in time and research to create some type of presentation or whatever. Something like that, where it's at least worthwhile to people, depending on what, if they're getting entertainment or knowledge or whatever out of it. If they feel that it's worthwhile, then say go for it. But it's really up to the individual person. Is more or less what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's weird that certain people think it's like a controversial take to say that like it's fine for people to charge for certain things because people should be free to spend their money how they wish as long as, and I guess that's where maybe the disconnect is. As long as there's no scamming going on, as long as there's no like shady things going on that are being offered in the Patreon, buyout groups and market manipulating groups. And I think things like that go on to some extent. But at the end of the day, if the market deems it too much or not enough value for what it is, like people just won't subscribe. That's what it comes down to. And there's so much free information out there already. And like just to shout out my paywall. um, the same day this goes live, I have like a light version of my deep dive. Well, it's like a shallow dive into the CGC Pop report and comparing the distribution of grades at PSA and CGC. Shallow dive that took me the better part of half a day to put together, 4 hours. I'm a small channel on YouTube. I'm going to get 500 views, 1,000 views, maybe 5,000 views if the algorithm really likes it. For me, that would be like my best video ever, second best video ever, probably. My hourly wage on that would be
Pennies.
$3 an hour, $2 an hour, maybe. Maybe if people click the affiliate link, it'll bump up from there, but that's really hit or miss. One point I've seen people make is like, if the content's good enough, you should make it free, and then the ad revenue will, if it's good enough, the ad revenue will be enough to like, that's not really reasonable or true because like, again, I feel like I'm putting out fairly quality content tomorrow in the free portion, and then even more so Sunday in the paywall portion. By the time's all said and done and I get to Sunday, it might be 15 to 20 hours I've put into compiling data. And it's all the base raw data is free. All I'm doing is I'm going to the CGC Pop report and the PSA Pop report and pulling data and presenting it in different ways and giving my thoughts and opinions about it. The light video that I have tomorrow on YouTube, it's already 25 minutes. It's already like I'm bad at YouTube. It's way too long for YouTube already. The thing that I'm gonna do Sunday is gonna be over an hour, and it's just terrible for YouTube. So like I don't agree at all with if it's good enough, it will earn enough on YouTube just in and of itself. Not really at all, because like I mean, there are creators out there that can do almost nothing, make a video, and it'll get 10 million views and make them tens of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
I don't think the amount of ad revenue you get from YouTube is proportional to like the effort or, and I'm not saying everyone getting 10 million views is doing low effort trash and my channel is all amazing stuff that's all worth $10,000 every video. I'm not saying that at all. But to say that like there are very intelligent people out there in the world that don't have a YouTube, and like Patreon isn't just a thing that YouTubers use to get some kind of a supplemental income. There are people in other spaces that use it too because it's just a reasonable way to reach and monetize whatever different types of content you have. So yeah, I'm kind of a long all over the place thing, but if you don't want to subscribe to it, you don't have to. And that's perfectly reasonable. Especially like talking about us specifically, not talking just in general. Like we're both accessible through here for free. I mean, handful of people asked the question, we answered them. We do a little bit of Q&A in ours. I think you guys do a little bit of Q&A in yours too, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I answer the same questions the same way. Here, I guess I'm doing it to the camera and then you're watching it afterwards. Same thing with your Zoom call. it's on video with each other. So it is like that next level.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. Free, we offer some amount of stuff, and then to some extent, it's a little bit next level, a little bit deeper that YouTube doesn't really like. That's not great for YouTube. So
Mm-mm.
it feels reasonable to put that in a Patreon bundle and make it a bit more sustainable. Because if I didn't have a Patreon to present to on Sunday, I probably wouldn't be diving 20 hours into the CGC Pop Report. I'm making the time for it because it does generate a little bit more money. If it didn't, I probably wouldn't. To some extent, maybe I would for my own curiosity, but I wouldn't really have any motivation to share it anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. But I will say too, I did shout him out. I'm subscribed to other people's Patreons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to talk anything about some of the Patreons you subscribe to and the value you get. Just like, I'm not only a producer of paywalled content, I'm a consumer of paywalled content. And one of the ones that I leaned on heavily, it's one of the different type of Patreons where there's not necessarily specific content locked behind it. It just exists alongside, like Pichu Fan, we talked about him earlier. He runs Pokemetrics. I don't know if you use that website at all,
Oh yeah.
pokemetrics.org.
Yep.
Org. Very, very amazing site. It automatically, well, not automatically, James is doing it. But he's programmed it to scrape the data every so often from PSA, CGC's upcoming. He offers that all for free.
Yep.
That's his time and energy and effort going into it. I'm subscribed to his Patreon to just support him because I utilize that a lot. I lean on that a lot. Really handy. It saved me a lot of time. I mentioned that I put several hours into what I put out tomorrow. I couldn't have even put that out tomorrow if his Pokemetrics didn't exist. Pokemon Price exists, Gem Rate exists. I could have used another one of the free resources, but like, I like his the best in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
just want to support that one. And then I've been in SM Prats for some time now. I'm also in Rudy's Alpha Investments. I first joined his years ago. Just I loved his content, just to support his content. Now I'm in it for like the MetaZoo bundles. The silly Rudy promos that he puts out.
His
Where'd
play
they go?
mats.
I'm in his just so I can get access to these at the ground floor. And then
Oh
I was
boy.
in Rusty's for a while too. I think I had bought a year actually. I think that ended. So I don't think I'm active there anymore. But yeah, those are some of the Patreons that I also consume. So I'm a consumer and a producer of Patreon content.
Yeah, I'm a part of SM Pratt Scott's. I like his videos because I just like listening to the different questions he gets and answers he gives. More or less something to have on in the background that I like listening to for his Patreon. And then Rusty, I'm part of his Patreon too. I got a lot of information from his older videos. Me and you both learned about Evo through his Patreon. That
Ton
was
of value. I got so much value from his early Evo videos. And again, I would call it entitlement to a lot of extents. Like, people would say he should just put that on his YouTube. It should just be free. When it's not fully public, you can like Scott. Scott shares a lot more things that he wouldn't be comfortable and wouldn't want to share on YouTube because it would garner some amount of hate. It would garner some amount of that's not real, whatever. Like, talking about his sales history and a little bit of his purchase history. And
mm-hmm.
uh, it is what it is. Like, we hopefully bring value to our patrons. We see value in being patrons of other people's content. So again, everything we just went through, all of our biases in that we consume and produce that content, but I just thought it would be a reasonable thing to talk about, given that it's kind of like a hotly debated thing lately to some extent. It's shown up in a couple of Poke Knowledge's lives, and
Yep.
Talked about various other places too.
Yeah, no, definitely a hot topic right now. For sure.
There's always got to be a little bit of drama going on, right?
Oh, it can never be nice and calm. But we still got to be something to keep us on our toes here.
Yeah.
Well, I think this might go on as one of our shorter podcasts.
Definitely. Yeah, not even to 2 hours. So hopefully this isn't like the beginning of the end, the real end. We YouTube clickbaited all that on our channels before we departed for this one, but leave your questions below. Oh, we forgot to mention it at the beginning.
What's that?
We're gonna have Mason on.
Oh, damn it! we'll make a we'll put that in the description and make a tag.
We'll have to do community posts, Instagram posts, all that. But yeah, so we're gonna
I
try.
gave him a shout out in my my live last night on Poke Tea Time.
Oh yeah, you spoiled it.
So everyone already knows about it anyway.
Sorry, Mason. We meant to mention that at the very beginning. Leave your questions below for next podcast. We're going to have Mason from Cardinal Gaming on. Feel free to cater any specific questions towards him. Feel free to ask anything on your mind that you want all three of us to address as well. Same thing as always. One thing I thought of, like if you're listening to this on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, I don't think there's like a way to comment on those. I guess
I don't think there is.
pop over to YouTube and leave a comment or email one of us. Ideally, like if you send an Instagram message, I'll try, but the more consolidated they are, like everyone on the YouTube will be answered. If you send us the question somewhere else, it might be missed. We'll try, but it might be missed. So
YouTube's definitely the best way. Just leave a comment on this video. That's definitely the best way to ensure we remember to actually answer it in the next podcast. Because I know there's been packages that I haven't even mailed out through sales on Instagram. So that's a bit more pressing. So you can imagine how likely it is we are to remember to answer a question on the next podcast through Instagram. But we'll try. Give it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that about does it. Appreciate everyone watching. Let us know what you think about the new StreamYard format. Are the PokeFlipz logos distracting? Is it too much? This is Nick and I spent like an hour and a half in here. This background is called Untitled Design 22. This is the 22nd iteration of me working in Canva, trying to figure out how to not have a little line in between all these logos, and a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears went into this background. So go easy on me if you're providing. Try to be constructive, like criticism with your negative commentary. Don't be too harsh on me.
And be sure to give huge props to how cool the logo looks, because that was all me right there.
That was all Nick. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this new StreamYard home we're in. The banners to be able to pop up questions, and
I like that. I think that's a good one.
we can even get fancy with the ticker.
There we go.
We might do some other overlay type stuff and some more visual stuff for the people consuming the YouTube content. But yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. Do appreciate it. And we will see you in a couple weeks.
Catch you all later.